Happy Wednesday. I am going live on both Facebook and Instagram again. Hello, everyone. I'm trying to multitask. I hope you're all doing well. Hold on now. I can't see my people where are my comments? There we go. Give me a comment on Facebook if you're watching. My Instagram folks, I think I can see. So I'm getting fancy today. I got a little logo and a little title on the screen. We're amping up the tech here. So speaking of which, I actually thought about spending time on this morning because it's been on my to-do list. And that's what we're talking about this week is getting the right things done. And I was struggling with the title bar at the bottom because I'll tell you how I had to do that. So for anybody who goes live, I'm using a tool an app called Ecamm Live. And so it allows you to put these things on the screen, which I've never really done before. And I have a friend in my accountability group who had sent me this image. She's like, oh, use this template for the title on your live. And so it's been sitting in my Canva folder. And this morning I was like, I got to get on this. I'm going to say hi to my Instagram folks. Hi there. So, my Instagram folks can't see my title. Okay, so you'll have to join us on Facebook, on the Facebook page if you want to see the title I'm talking about. Anyway, for Facebook in streaming live, I'm using a tool called Ecamm, and so I'd had this sitting in my Canva for a while, and I wanted to figure it out, but I hadn't scheduled the time to do it. And this morning I thought, I cannot spend a lot of time on this because I'm talking about getting the right things done. And if I spend a whole hour going after this title bar, then I'm not aligning with the topic of the week. So we're talking this week, the topic on the podcast is getting the right things done and feeling okay about taking time off. So if you are an achievement-oriented entrepreneur like I am, and I suspect many of you are, you probably struggle a little bit with taking time off and never feeling like you're done. Even at the end of the day, I have gone on a long journey, and I'm still on that journey of feeling like I can stop working. I will literally stop working until I'm so exhausted. And that was one of the things I wanted. So I want to add a couple of things that I didn't mention on the podcast. One is that I think as business owners, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, and you struggle with this, with getting the right things done, with scheduling your time, with feeling overwhelmed, it can feel a little bit embarrassing, right? I remember, so on the podcast, I talked about, dogs coming in from their walk. Sorry about that. Got the camera all. Sorry, one of them ran into the camera. So I talked on the podcast about this sort of moment I had with my business coach where I was sitting there with Post-it notes all over the computer screen, and I was kind of having a meltdown over how overwhelmed I felt about all the things that I had to get done, and everything was living in my brain, right? And we live in our brain. We're not operating effectively, and that's why it feels overwhelming, because it's all up in here and we need to get it out. But I remember sitting there saying, I just feel ridiculous that I'm a professional woman and I've been working for a long time and I own my own business. And the thing that I'm struggling with is like getting all the things done and managing my time the right way. Like it felt really amateur. And he was like, look, every entrepreneur struggles with this, especially those of us. Some of us are business owners that don't go after the squirrels, right? But some of us are squirrel chasers, and we love bright, shiny ideas, and we love new things. And sitting down and getting the things done that we've committed to do can be challenging for our personalities. And so don't be embarrassed if you struggle with trying to be more productive, trying to get the right things done. And I mentioned in the podcast, one of my favorite books is called Essentialism, which is he really focuses on the idea like you can manage your time better, but also we all just need to do fewer things. And so as we're kind of getting into the end of 2020, looking forward to hopefully a much better 2021. I've started my 2021 planning, just looking at what are the programs I want to offer, how do I want to serve my audience and help you guys run better co-working spaces, start better co-working spaces, better meaning more profitable than 2020. So realizing that there's a limit, right? That there are things we need to say no to. So anyway, that was one thing I wanted to mention, is the idea that don't be embarrassed if this is something you struggle with and you're working on. And then the second thing I wanted to mention is know yourself and know when you're most productive and when you get your best work done. This took me a while, and actually I'm still a little bit struggling with one thing, which is that I am a real early bird. And there's a book called, I'm going to grab it on my Amazon link here. I'm going to put it in I think I can put it in the chats. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So there's a book called, by Daniel Pink. I love Daniel Pink. When the Scientific Secrets of Perfect Timing. This is also such a great book if you're working on, sort of managing your day better and feeling better and managing your energy, which is another thing I didn't talk about on the podcast, but I think is really important, because he talks about, so really early birds do their best thinking in the morning, and then at some point we run out of steam. And I am a true early bird. Most people are kind of in the middle, and then there's our night owls, and he talks about how much sympathy he has for night owls, because corporate America certainly is not really designed at all to support our night owls. So if you are one and you're an entrepreneur, you may be able to more easily manage your schedule on your own, or a freelancer, etc. But anyway, I do my best work in the morning. But do you know what also is one of my favorite things to do first thing when I wake up is my workout, because I just feel right when I start my day with a workout. But my best days are probably when I get up and do work immediately. And when I get up, I mean between 5 and 5:30. So I'm not a crazy person getting up in the 4s, but I mean, I can and I will. Although Friday, I had a 6:30 call with one of my Coworking startup school students who's in Sweden. And by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I was on the couch napping. I had to take a nap before dinner. So that's what happens when you're an early bird. But ideally, when my CrossFit gym was open, I'm in California, our gyms are still not closed they're open on the outside. Can't go inside. So I've been working out in my garage, but I used to get up really early, have a really great day, and go work out at 3. And that is probably perfect for how my sort of body and self best works, because my brain is really fresh in the morning and I don't tire it out from a workout, and I work out really hard. Sometimes I feel like I need a nap from my workouts. If I have any CrossFit fans listening, you know what that's like. So a couple of things about the planning. So when I had this meltdown with my business coach, he said, first of all, we have to get rid of the Post-it notes. You can't leave things living in your brain, and you can't leave them all over Post-it notes. So I did. I committed to that. I got everything down on paper, got rid of the Post-it notes. Although one thing I still do, and tell me if this happens to you, when I'm working out or I'm on a walk, my brain processes things, and I will try to keep something at all times so that I can get things down on paper, again, so they're not living in my brain and I'm not feeling like, oh, there's things I need to do that I'm not getting done that are living up there. But the thing that my coach said, you need to invest 2 hours a week in planning your time, which seems outrageous, right? Like, why wouldn't you just spend the 2 hours getting things done, right? That's 2 hours where I'm not doing things, I'm planning to do things. What? So this actually was like a major, major transformation for me. And I actually have my newest one still with the wrapper on it, about the planner that I use, which is the Full Focus Planner. It's Michael Hyatt's. I don't know if anybody listens to Michael Hyatt. He's a leadership entrepreneur. Mostly, kind of focuses on leadership. Anyway, he has this planner called the Full Focus Planner that I actually really like a lot. And I don't think it's brain surgery. I've seen other planners that work similarly. So just find one that works for you. But I am really religious about doing my planning on Saturday or Sunday. I tend to do it on Sunday, although I'll show you my to-do list that I made. So this is my Sunday day. And Sunday I sat down with coffee, with caffeine, and said, I'm going to do all these things on Sunday to prepare for the week, which is not recommended. So even I still struggle with the process a little bit. And so I did almost none of them, because I decided instead that I would make some new masks. in taco fabric, which was more fun than doing my checking in on my active campaign projects. But the routine is super important. So I make it sort of a ceremony. I leave the house, I go to my favorite coffee shop, I sit outside, I get my coffee, I treat myself to a croissant, and I sit down and I go through and I plan the week. And so you can see, So it has you go through a couple of different processes, but these, don't judge my handwriting. These are the days of the week. And so I just sketch out like the high level things that I really want to accomplish. And actually one of the most important things I talk about on the podcast is the weekly big three. So what are the three things that you would be thrilled, you like on Friday night, you could sit down with your glass of wine and sleep really well because you know you got these three things done. And those are the things that are driving your business. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on the detail here, but the point is planning and using a tool and having some sort of routine or ceremony that you enjoy and giving yourself permission to spend the time to plan because it really, hi Mark, hi again. It really matters and it's such a good investment, even if it doesn't feel like a good use of time. It's like meditating, which I'm still working on. Every time I sit down and set my watch for 10 minutes, I get so antsy. Sorry, the dogs are making noise here. But it's so critical. And then once you spend your 2 hours laying out what your critical, most important driving business results activities are for the next week, then you block the time on your calendar. And I'm not going to show you my calendar, but literally you go, blocking means open up your calendar, and I use Google Calendar, and schedule out hour by hour the projects that you're going to work on. And one of the things that's really helping my mindset is instead of making, so I'm trying to be realistic about the things that I can accomplish in any one day so that I don't literally sit with my laptop until I'm about to fall over and my brain stops working every night. And get into the mindset that, and this I think was the Indistractable book, which is new, and his name is Nir Eyal, Indistractable. It's on Amazon. And he talked about this idea, which I've been practicing only very recently, of working on a project and getting as much done as you can in a certain amount of time, but sort of not judging how many check marks you've made on your list. So it's important to lay out projects that you want to do and what's next to be productive against those projects. So you need task lists to some extent. I'm a big Asana user, which is an app where you can map out projects and assign things to team members. So I use that with my team. But being patient and not judging if you don't check off 100 things in a day, if you get 2 things done. But if you spend a productive, hour on a project or 2 hours on a project, then oh, good. I'm so glad. Mark, glad to hear that. Sometimes I do podcast topics and I'm like, does anyone else care? So it's always good to have feedback. I had another email this morning and somebody said, what was the planner that you mentioned? And so I was like, oh, good. People are listening, and I hadn't even put the planner link in the show notes. So I did that, which is why I wanted to mention it. So blocking out time in your calendar, and this is super important for me because I am such a, I want to be involved in everything, right? If somebody wants to do a phone call, I want to do a phone call. I want to be engaged and I want to be involved and I want to say yes to things. And that's how I get into a situation where I owe a lot of people a lot of things, which I've had many times in my life where that's been the case. And it's a terrible feeling because it's really important to me to deliver on the things that I commit to. But because I have the shiny object, love new ideas personality, that can be hard to do. So I need systems. So block your schedule out. And the last thing I wanted to mention, which I also mentioned in the podcast, is try to follow the 80-20 rule. So if you're an entrepreneur, again, it was like this morning when I was like, I really want the title bar for my Facebook Live today and my Instagram Live. And I started, but I hadn't scheduled it. And I was like, oh, is this really critical? No one really cares. It makes me look a little bit fancier, but is it driving any result in my business? Probably not. So I promised myself that if I couldn't figure it out in like 5 minutes, I would let it go. So 80-20 rule is trying to distill out of all the things that you've written down that you want to get done. what are the 20% of the things that drive the business? And actually, I made a note. I'm going to do a podcast on what are these things for co-working, because there are things across the co-working business that no matter kind of what you're doing really matter for your business and are the right things to spend time on. And then other things and other businesses that you have and personal projects. We've been doing a lot of personal projects around the house. So figuring out like what are the most important things to get done, and focusing on those and saying no to the other projects. So that's it. I'm going to wrap up. I've been going really long on these Facebook lives and Instagram lives. So I'm going to try to keep it shorter. But if anybody who's listening, I think we got a couple people listening. Mark, you're always listening. If you guys have any resources that you use to focus on the right things, to get the right things done, planners you like, systems you like, mindsets that are working for you, please share them in the comments, because I would love to hear. I'm just suggesting some things that have worked for me. I am not an expert in this. It's a journey that I'm on, and just thought as entrepreneurs, it's good to chat about these things and connect on these things. So please throw in the comments anything that works for you that you'd like to share. And I will see you next Wednesday. I was early. Anne, 80/20. Yes. Oh, yeah. Love that idea. Well, Anne, if you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments or in the Facebook groups. That would be awesome. Yeah. So before I go, quick plug. I usually do things at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern. I did an earlier one this week because the GWA has a free webinar at 11 my time. You know what? Mark, that's so funny. All right, sorry, let me finish the GWA webinar plug on marketing at 11 o'clock. I think you can still register if you go to their website and get the recording if you can't make it. Mark, you probably know this. I am in love with Donald Miller. I've been carrying around his Business Made Simple book his Marketing Made Simple book, because I'm working on my some email sequences, and I have not seen his planner, but he mentioned that on one of his podcasts. It sounds kind of similar in structure, so I'm curious to see that come out. Bullet journals. Oh, to your staff. So helping your team think about, focusing on the most important things, getting things done, scheduling time. This is really hard for our team because we can step out of, and Jerome, I know you do a lot of front desk time when you need to, and now you're doing a lot of homeschooling time, but we can go and hide when we need to get things done, and our team can't, right? So their time management, focus on things can be far more challenging than ours is. So this is something I'm working on adding to my community manager university program, is helping with time management and prioritizing and agreeing on a team. So I won't go down the tangent on that. Anyway, any other comments, throw them in, and hopefully we'll see you at the GWA webinar, which I am not hosting. Lauren, our head of marketing, is actually hosting. And we have someone from the Everything Coworking Facebook group is going to be one of the guests, sharing her kind of pivots and creative ideas. And Kevin Whelan, who is a marketing expert focused on co-working spaces, is another one of the guests. So hopefully we'll see you there. And next Wednesday, I will see you at the regular time, 11 a.m. Thanks, Mark.